Hello, sweet beloveds. We are here Wednesday, August 28th. So I'm actually recording this a little bit early, as the summer has, had to require for getting some of these done on the Sundays. You will be receiving this Sunday, September 1st. So happy September, my favorite month of the year, seeing as it is my solar return in September. And I am really excited to read this week ahead's energy to you. I think that we're moving into very incredible territory. The next 3 months will see a major shift in consciousness, as well as a old story come up and through, and we have to revisit it one more time. And what is happening today, September 1st, Sunday, is that Pluto is going back for Capricorn, for 29 degrees of Capricorn. And Pluto moving back into that place really shows us that we are where we're at, really. It shows us what we're uh, changing and what we're doing and how we are coming to the end of this long story. Now, all year, since January 20th, Pluto has been in Aquarius, and we've been getting the news story and understanding where it is that we're going and what it is that we are deeply, moving into around Aquarian ideals, around more of the cooperative, social reform, um, technological, equal, sovereign ideals of Aquarius. But we're going back to Capricorn. And there is a moment here. Why is this not wanting to show it? So, for those of you who listen to the audio, we do have a video on Mighty Networks, if you haven't already figured that one out. And on the video, we actually show the screen. And so it's a really good teaching tool to sort of see this energy play out on the exacts of these moments. So if I go here, I love that my computer has this at 4:44. So it's sometime between 4 and 5 today on Sunday, September 1st. What will be today for you? That Pluto moves back into Capricorn. So Pluto's been retrograde and is basically retracing steps in order for us to get a new insight, new understanding, new clarity of an old pattern. We've talked this till it's, until we're blue in the face with Capricorn. The Capricorn part of your chart has been really going through it for 14 years, since 2008. And at this moment, it's like we're getting the understanding of some of it. And at the same time, Uranus, the planet Uranus, who has been really leading the charge on economic instability and food insecurities and gas prices rising, and a big element of Uranus and Taurus is meant to literally move the earth, to shake our earth in order to wake us up. Uranus is stationing retrograde. And so today is an extremely powerful day for old situations to arise and to sort of witness them and go, oh, we're not going back there. No, no, this is what I am here to do my sort of thesis on. It's at 5:08 p.m. That is the exact moment that Pluto goes back to Capricorn. But I mean, we've been feeling this all week. And I did actually notice like gas prices went down, and we've had some relief on the interest rates. And so Uranus is like moving through Taurus, trying to liberate the economy, but doing so in a way that really is shaking it up. And now Uranus is station retrograde, and it's time for us to also go back and to continue to move within to our earthly being and earthly bodies and earthly realities. And I do think over the next 3 months, it will be sort of the old story. Like, I am sort of committed this fall to keeping things as they are. And when November, the middle of November comes along, that's when I really want to start to see the new story take off. That's when I think that we will be shifting in one big way. And then next spring is when the next sort of big shifts play out. So if you've been wondering what to do from like a business level or home level, or, just really witnessing yourself over the next 2 months with Pluto back in Capricorn and going, what exactly is it that I think this new way will be? And that way might not appear until November. It might not appear until February. These are really big months and key moments over the next little while. November is just huge. But we start this retracing of our steps today. And you may have noticed that since 2008, you've been going through a part of your life where you have been asked to transform and asked to deepen your integrity and move with the energy of transformation. I mean, if you're here, you know what Capricorn has been asking of you. You know what this part of your chart has been asking of you. You know that for the most part, the women of the world, the feminine, it has been undergoing this deep transformation and generational healing and family healing. And we're like really triggering this big change in the world, in our societies, our structures, our school systems, our government, our healthcare. Pluto coming back here for the next 2 months will ask that we utilize the last 14 years of knowing to get to the sort of top of the mountain, to get to the top of the summit, to present that thesis and defend it and say, this is what I learned. This is what I've learned. This is what I've studied. This is what I've researched. Here's what I'm here for. And to put it to good work. And the way that we do that is by going within and knowing what our body is telling us and knowing what the clues that we are feeling are telling us. It's so important right now to be paying attention to synchronicities, to our knowingness. I just talked this week on our Instagram about chiromancy, and there's an incredible book by Robert Moss. He's such an amazing teacher. Sidewalk Oracles, right? And it's like chiromancy is getting to know your science of shivers. What is your science of shivers that tells you and only you that you're on the right path? That is disrupting the economy. And Uranus stationing retrograde is disruptive. It's disruptive to the powers that be, that each individual becomes sovereign. It's disruptive to your family to want to go a different way than what they want you to do. It just is. There's a disruption that is required right now. It doesn't have to happen today, but it's happening over the next 3 months in a big way. And don't be afraid to disrupt what you usually would do, especially in this energy, and setting some new intentions here. Because tomorrow at 6:55 p.m., meaning Monday, at 6:55 p.m., we get the new moon in Virgo at 11 degrees and 4 arc minutes of Virgo. And at the same time as we get this new moon, which is really about setting a new 3-year structure in place, or setting these seeds in place in the Virgo part of our charts, a new routine in place. It's like, oh, if I'm going to, decide I'm going to make this change, I need to commit to my health in a bigger way, or I need to commit to my routine in a deeper way. I need to do the steps. Virgo is the steps, the pieces, the order, in order to create that change that we know is already sort of here. But at the same time as this new moon, Mars in Gemini is squaring Neptune in Pisces. And this is a highly confusing energy. It's very confusing and can almost give us a headache. Like we're just like, what is going on? We're talking in circles with this energy. So I would be very sacred with this new moon. I don't think that I would verbally set any sort of thing in place. I don't think that this is a new moon to have conversations or to start projects on. New moons are never exactly the time to start it anyways. It's the time to seed it, the time to think it. It's the time to go quiet. The sky is dark. It's the time to go deeply within. And usually it's once the moon starts building, once it starts waxing, really good time to start a project. Something you want to be visible. You need some light in the sky in order to do it then. So take the opportunity on Monday if you have the gift of time and go within. Mars Neptune can be healthy or good for, doing creative work. And doing some sort of like more energizing meditative state. I'm not going to recommend with Mars at 29 Gemini to try to meditate. Monkey mind is written all over this. But I do think that there is something that could come through like a channeling. You could do some great like hypnotherapy, go down some crazy landscapes, do some significant singing. Singing would be a great thing with this. Um, Anything that can be unconscious discussion. So like channeling or speaking freely, like unconscious writing where you're just sort of putting your pen to paper and writing, that is really supported by this day. And you might be surprised at what you find out. You might have some even disruptive thoughts that come through this. And it may be about your relationships, it might be about people in your life, but admitting the truth to yourself starts here. So Monday, take some time, try to make some space if you can to just take a little bit of space to do some unconscious journaling. I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes and I'm just going to write my greatest dreams. I'm going to write what I think needs to happen. Virgo is the steps, but it's also the healing. And it's, sometimes we don't have the exact route right away, especially with this day. I'm like, this is not a new moon where we're going to get the framework exactly. But, labyrinths, which are such sacred places where you are walking in circles, but you're doing it in a spiral with, sacred intention. And by doing it, you sort of calm your monkey mind and you get to where you want to go. That's what this day reminds me of. So go walk a labyrinth. And trust, trust, trust. Virgo requires surrender and trust at this point, and it is opposite Saturn and Pisces, which is wanting us to surrender, to even to reach in and see like what could be the more compassionate response to this, issue that I might be facing. Now, the thing that is wild about this new moon and the next day is that Venus is at the point that she had an eclipse at in October 14th. Nope. Let me get the date for that. It's actually in March, I bet. March 25th. Yeah, it was the March 25th eclipse. March 25th of this year, we had a Libra eclipse at 6 degrees of Libra. And now the South Node and Venus are there together. So whatever came up in March for you, you can check your calendars, March 25th, a few days before, a few days after. If you were in Eclipsed with us, you may have recorded this somewhere because we traveled this eclipse together. There was a release of something to do with Venus. Venus, like Libra, is relationships, sisterhood, friendship. It was an eclipse that actually brought the bridge down. If you remember, the Baltimore bridge got hit and the bridge came down. It was also an eclipse when Kate Middleton's cancer sort of scare was happening, but no one knew where she was. And it was so confusing. And so I'm wondering if there's going to be like a resurgence of some storylines that sort of happen in the news then, or like we find out more Kate Middleton news or something like that. Anyways, that's more global. In your own life, March 25th and around that eclipse story, something may have had to be released. Maybe that storyline is coming back around this week, and you're like, dang, I thought we were done with this, but I guess we have to have this talk. Or, we're finally ready to release the control or the issues or the pattern or the history that has made this to be what it is. This could be good for relationship. If you've survived your relationship this long into the North Node in Aries, you're probably here for it. It could be also like the splitting. So, we never know how it's going to go and only you will really know, but staying in integrity with your energy on this day and just watching conversations that you're having and really sensing like what is maybe being released. It could even just be the way that you have had your beauty ideals. I mean, Venus in Libra is pretty focused on her looks. And we've seen with the South Node in Libra, Pamela Anderson show up with no makeup, all these stars are like, fuck it. Like, I'm so tired of these beauty ideals. We've seen a lot of people growing out their grays and being like, I'm ready to show my gray hair to the world. We've seen this like shift in appearance, even from a Venus and Libra state. You might just be ready to show up as you are, to be more authentic, to be more exactly as you are, no matter what that looks like. And this could be way deeper than that, right? Where you're like truly ready to speak your truth and not sugarcoat it. You know, Venus and Libra wants to sugarcoat it, but that South Node is releasing that desire. So thinking into that, feeling into that, maybe this is starting a new template of time for you where you are ready to be more authentic and less, desiring to stay on the surface with things, where your relationships get deeper and more real. And the North Node in Aries is calling for that. It's calling for us to continue to be more direct, to be more clear. And just with this Mars Neptune configuration at this time, it's a very confusing time. So use the nodes and this energy to cut to the heart of things. What is it that you actually are feeling? Identify it first in your body, and then see if you can verbalize it and speak it. Now, Mercury is coming out of this trine to Chiron. Mercury has made a couple of moves with Chiron through this retrograde, and Mercury stationed direct last week, giving us more of a chance to know what we're thinking and to be clearer also. So come from the heart when you speak, and you'll never go wrong a day in your life, but speak from the heart. Now, the moon moves into Libra on Wednesday and Thursday, and we do get a sense of maybe a little bit more resolution, a little bit of harmony. The moon in Libra is looking to glaze things over and smooth them over and pour honey in the conversations that may have happened at the beginning of the week that were harder. But on Wednesday, September 4th, we do have a really notable shift because Mars now moves from Gemini to Cancer. Mars's ingress into Cancer signifies a long journey that is beginning, where Mars will be in Cancer until April of 2024. Now, he does move a little bit into Leo in there, and he spends a bit of time stationing retrograde and coming back out of Leo. But for the most part, Mars will be in Cancer for like 4 to 5 months. It's going to be a long transit, and it does have an edge to it. Mars is not super happy in Cancer. Mars is feeling a lot and doesn't like that, right? Mars wants directness and clarity. And so it adds to the confusion a bit to have Mars in a feeling watery sign. It adds to our need to be noticing our own subtle emotional manipulations, to catch them, to maybe speak them, give them voice, or even just to feel them. Mars in Cancer as just a general transit could be protective mama bear energy really heightening. I do think over the course of time that Mars will be here, until April, so September all the way until April. I think that mamas worldwide are going to be like getting their haunches up. I think we're going to be advocating for children, for families. I think that there is going to be a deepening of the mother wound and a healing of the mother wound. Mars is aggravated. Mars is energy that wants strategy and clarity and action. And Cancer is, I want to feed you instead. Let's not talk about it. I'm just going to serve you tea. I'm going to cover you with this. It could really be a rewilding of motherhood, mothers everywhere being like, oh my God, like I need to break free from these duties. These domestic duties are too much for me. I want to do something differently. I want to, it could be maybe even beneficial for some mothers. I actually had one of my dear friends here tonight, and I was doing a reading for her, and I talked about how deeply hard it is, to be co-parenting and to not have your child with you every night. But that there are elements that make me a far better mother because of that space and time. And I do think that with Mars and Cancer, you're going to need a little bit of time away from your domestic duties. You're going to need some separation from them in order to find your way, sort of to clarity. Because when you're just caregiving all the time, yeah, irritation might arise, frustration might arise. So we're not necessarily able to deepen our understanding of our purpose when we are constantly putting this energy out in caregiving. Mars creates, Mars is sort of the sword, the warrior, he might create a little bit of separation in that. Maybe it's the first trip you ever take away, or maybe the kids go to their grandparents for the first time ever. Like that could just be a very mundane part of this transit. The other part could be like mothers being like, rah, we're gonna take some time, and we're gonna take, maybe it's even like mothers being like, I'm gonna take my kiddos and move, states to somewhere that feels better for us right now. It could be like, it's just mama haunch is gonna be getting up. Mama bear energy is gonna be loud. And it can be very protective and very beautiful as well. We all need to sort of notice our codependency habits with Mars and Cancer. We sort of all need to witness our own overbearing mother that we have inside of us. Helicopter mom that's, a little too protective at times. That might be really arising during this energy too. So Wednesday is a really important day to pay attention, because when we get transits where we get the ingress into the sign, I mean, it gives us a whisper, a clue, a hint. And it won't be until Mars moves to 17 degrees of Cancer, which is not for a little while, where he will start crossing that retrograde shadow period, and he'll be in his pre-retrograde shadow. So yeah, he doesn't get to 17 Cancer until October, the first week of October, which is also eclipse season. So again, if you want to walk those eclipses with us, join us in eclipse, because just paying attention during those eclipses is going to be another essence of valuable understanding of how this Mars and Cancer transit will go. If you have Cancer planets, Mars is going to spend some time with them and give you more energy for whatever they are. If you have a Cancer moon, well, this is like a pretty big pregnancy marker with Mars, the phallic symbol coming for the moon. If you have the sun in Cancer, if you have Mars in Cancer, like you're going to have more energy towards those things, towards exhibiting those traits. It could be for the good, the bad, or the ugly. If you have things in Capricorn, Mars is going to oppose that energy, and you might be drawn more into your feelings, right? Capricorn is more detached, Cancer is more in their feelings. And so whether we like it or not, this does bode well for warriors being a bit more emotional. And this might have something or some role to play in some of the, the broader scale wars that we've seen break out. Israel has a very Libran chart. There's a lot with the Gaza, issue that is happening that is just terrible, that is deeply been connected to Libra eclipses. And so I think in October we might see movement one way or the other, and it might be that the mothers are the ones that rise and say no freaking more. This is like moms coming out into the battlefield and standing between the patriarchy that's fighting itself and saying no freaking more. That could be one of the ways that this Mars whole retrograde will happen. But you can expect a long Mars and Cancer story. It's, more in November that Mars moves into Leo, and then Mars will station retrograde in Leo and come back into Cancer in early 2025. And then it's not until April 2025 that Mars finally moves out of this sort of storyline. So we are really wanting to pay attention on Wednesday to what shows up for you. Yeah, pay attention to your feelings, pay attention to your sudden energy burst that you might have towards something, and pay attention to the house you have Cancer in. Where that house is could be what is showing up for you. All right, now we have September 5th, which is again another sort of Thursday is just like a not as dramatic motion day, but the moon moves into Scorpio on September 6th, and that Scorpio moon will start to amplify a little bit more of the feelings and intensity that we have. And then the sun moves into a direct opposition with Saturn on Saturday, September 7th, and it will be at 16 Pisces and 16 Virgo. So let's just bring up the chart for that. Yeah, it's happening like almost directly at 16. So the sun is the way we shine, right? And in Virgo season, we shine by trying to get something in order, by getting a routine in order, by getting our shit in order, by, getting a little bit more productive and practical about what we're doing. That's what the sun is asking of us in Virgo season. And, it just happens to align with like back to school time of year and like, okay, we need to like come back to some sense of, bringing things out of the fields. It's a harvest season and bringing it onto the table, which requires order and preparation and routine. And, there's a practical magic that exists here. And the Saturn and Pisces story we've been having for a long time now. Saturn and Pisces has been asking us to have boundaries, to have spiritual practices that we are disciplined and devoted to. It's asked us to anchor into our health and not escape or deny. And so the sun in Virgo is sort of like, oh, right, we're trying to shine in a healthy way, but Saturn in Pisces keeps drawing us back into that old habit or routine. I mean, this literally could be like an energy where you're like having a sugar rush that day and eating all the sugar you can, but your sun in Virgo is like, come on, I want you to eat healthy. I thought we weren't doing that again. Could be like just as easy as that. And you just have a little notice on Saturday of that war. It also could really highlight your health needs. And this Virgo Pisces axis, we are now in eclipse portal at this time. And we have an eclipse in 10 days from Saturday, September 7th. So September 17th, we are going to have a full moon Pisces eclipse, a full moon lunar eclipse that's going to highlight the healthcare industry. It's going to highlight herbs and how we use herbs. It's going to highlight grain and how we're using grains. It's going to highlight sensitivities, food sensitivities. Virgo Pisces is deeply sensitive to even sensory stuff. Like, it's going to highlight our senses. And all of a sudden we're like feeling things and then immediately manifesting an illness around it. Virgo Pisces is it's the most sensitive axis of sister signs in the chart. And having that sensitivity in opposition at this moment does bring up something hard. It is a harder moment. Saturday is like a bit sobering, important to stay sort of sober with your energy emotionally, mentally, and potentially physically as well. And Sun and Saturn are both often related to the father. As I'm saying this, I'm like, oh my God, my dad is going to be here. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So there is like this sort of desire between the sun, which is the masculine solar force that wants us to shine. It's like structure or routine that really wants us, to shine. And Saturn and Pisces, which might have some fear or shame around that, or might have some like fear of visibility or fear of our magical, qualities. The sun in Virgo is like, no, let's be practical. Let's be realistic. And Saturn and Pisces is like, wait a minute. I can sense that there's something different going on here. And it just might be this friction day where we're sort of reckoning with the fathers in our life, the men in our life, the masculine forces in our life, the structure and health and routines. And what shows up Saturday could show you where the eclipses are going to take you on September 17th. So pay close attention. Okay, my loves, I'm going to end it with that Saturday. And I'm wishing you the best week ahead. I really strongly believe that the next 3 months are sort of the bigger energy of the year. I mean, November is one of the biggest months of the year. August was quite intense with a lot of shifting and changing, but November is like profound. And so as we sort of move into that November time period, I just want you all to stay grounded, keep doing your spiritual practices, keep listening to this, even if you're not 100% sure what we're saying with all the things, like the learning is happening and you're your devotion is what matters right now. Your devotion to your life and to learning and to understanding through this language, but many others, how we are all moving forward in this healing capacity, because it's like we're going through the birth canal of something really new, and yet we're still in the breakdown part of it. So, my dears, with all of that being said, sending you so much love, and we'll see you soon.